You think the wiring in some places is starting to look clean, but then you realize there's a lot more wires to install. Oh no. Here we go again. So with most planes, you got a lot of wires in here. Got to deal with them. With electronic ignition and injection, I've got a bunch more wires that have to go through the firewall. In fact, I think it's somewhere around 36 or 37 additional wires that have to go through the firewall, and those would typically go through one of these guys here, 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 or I'd create a new one. What I'm going to do instead is use a couple of 41 pin connectors, because then they're going to go somewhere right above the battery here. I can have all of my wires for my sensors for injection come through one, and all the standard airplane wires come through the other. So EGT, CHT, manifold pressure, oil pressure, fuel pressure, etc. Those are all going to come through another connector. But yeah, I've got a couple of extra things. I've got to put a fuel pressure regulator in place here, because it's not just because there's a return line. Obviously, this is a return line. This is the feed line. Feed line's going to go into a filter. Filter's going to go into the fuel rail, essentially. And then I've got a couple of, so this is typically where the sensor block mounts that Vans provides. I'm going to use that, but then I've made a little box thing that's going to go above there, where the two manifold pressure sensors are for the injection. The Monkworks regulator is going to go here, and then the dotted line around that is for the BNC regulator, which is right there, but on the other side. So it's going to fit just like that, and they're not going to intersect one another, but it's going to be a pretty perfect mounting situation. So I think that means that the only real free place for anything additional is essentially here up of the battery. So I think since my sensor wires are coming out of down here with that other wire packet there, that's where the GEA24 engine monitor is. Figure I can just run the wires from there up and put a firewall penetration right here for one of the connectors, and then right here for the other connector. I could also move them over one more and run them through the center with all the other bulk wires. Not certain on that yet. We'll see. All right, so in order to make those those holes for the 41 pin circular connectors, no, they're not plastics, they're not CPCs. They're Canon connectors, maybe. I got them from ProWire, I think. When you get good quality connectors, you'd be amazed at the cost. I don't even want to think about it anymore. I remember the final checkout price for the two connectors. Realistically, it's 4 things you have to buy, and all the associated whatever. It was some insane amount for these 2 things. And then I realized, how am I going to make a nice clean hole for the damn things? And so I was looking at Harbor Freight's site, and they had a punch that had almost the exact size that I needed. So I went over to Harbor Freight and grabbed this pneumatic punch tool. But unfortunately, you still need to, use a step drill to get the initial hole up to the size where the pilot bolt will work. So it is what it is. If you're wondering what the heck I'm using for this, this is a Harbor Freight hydraulic punch. It's like 99 bucks. No, wait, no. Maybe it's a little bit more than that. You can just use, there's just screw versions of these, but none of them that I saw had the right sizing, I don't think. So for the cutouts I needed. So I just pump this pump and it's just gonna pull that through. There we go. 2 pass-throughs for 41 pin connectors, and this is the Harbor Freight tool. Pretty simple hydraulic punch driver. Easy peasy. It's been like at least 20 hours worth of work, and this situation doesn't look a whole lot different. I've got one firewall pass through, Canon connector, I guess you call them, done, but this is still a ton to get done. Whew. I don't know what to think. It's so much. It's overwhelming. I've drawn up so many diagrams. Just how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's all you can do here. I think I'm going to get one part done, then I realize, oh crap, I got to think about this other thing, and then I think about the other thing for a little while, and I forget what I was doing in the first thing because, again, it's just too much. And I think I just need to use my little checkbox, make a checklist, and just do, I'm working on this thing until it's done. So maybe I'll do that now. So what I'm going to do first is finish the wiring for these two. These are the breakaways for the harness. For the SDS. So this is the computer for the ignition and injection. This is where most of the wiring comes out of the computer. And this is where like the injector wiring comes out. In any case, but this is where the sensors and stuff go in. And so I've got these two disconnects for the primary harness stuff. The rest of the sensors that go along on all these wires here, those are just going off to the firewall because all that stuff is firewall related. It's, you know, air temperature sensor, I don't know if you can read that, air temperature, manifold pressure, primary coil, secondary coil, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, I did get all this stuff done, which was nice. This is all the engine instrumentation. The only thing that's not engine instrumentation in this bundle is I think like the master switch runs through there, the starter switch runs through there, and then I do have one power line for the secondary coil, so probably for the bottom plugs. Yeah, just to keep on going.